Remember when Star Citizen had a home everyone loved? Port Olisar gone forever, deleted from existence. New players enjoy incredible stability and seamless gameplay these days, completely unaware of what they missed. They'll never experience that first moment of stepping through an airlock directly into the void. When veterans look at modern Star Citizen and say, "Game is now very stable," there's always that unspoken follow-up. Wish you were still here to see this. Back in 2019, Port Olisar wasn't just another station. That first morning waking up in those small hab units changed everything. Walking those corridors, punching that airlock button, and then just space. No transitions, no waiting. The first time you stood on those external pads, Crusader looming massive in the background, ships floating past. That moment sold the Star Citizen dream better than any trailer ever could. The game runs smoother than ever now, sure, but most new players don't even realize what fundamental experience they've never had, what got left behind in the name of progress. Port Olisar served as Crusader's main orbital station until its removal, but calling it just a station misses everything important about it. Technically speaking, it functioned as Star Citizen's original persistent landing zone, featuring exterior pads that allowed direct space access. Simply put, the first real home players ever had. Ever noticed how frustrating those endless elevator rides feel? Those hangar assignment waits? That weird disconnected feeling between being in a station and being with your ship? Port Olisar solved all that with elegant simplicity. Land on a pad, walk through an airlock, and boom, you're inside. Need to leave? Reverse the process. No waiting for elevators that might not come. No staring at hangar doors that refuse to open. Everyone talks about Star Citizen's bleeding-edge tech and massive capital ships as the game's selling points. Dead wrong. The real magic always existed in those seamless transitions between environments. The feeling that you inhabited a continuous world rather than a series of loading screens disguised as elevators. Port Olisar delivered that better than any location before or since. Nobody ever talks about this, but Port Olisar's design created a psychological flow state that modern stations completely disrupt. Landing felt effortless, inside to outside in seconds. Need components? Quick walk to the shop. Want to check out someone's cool ship? Just step outside and look. 14 seconds. That's how long it took from waking up to standing on the landing pad. 14 seconds. Now, good luck getting anywhere in under 2 minutes. Modern players probably assume that stations like Everest Harbor or Baija Point represent technical improvements over old designs. Wrong. They're built around completely different priorities. CIG replaced player convenience with what developers believed created better immersion. But here's the truth nobody admits. Constant elevator rides and disconnected spaces actually break immersion worse than occasionally seeing a ship spawn out of nowhere ever did. Star Citizen finally delivered the server stability we've waited years for with 3.18 and 4.0. Amazing achievement. But nobody talks about the hidden cost. We gave up that lightning-fast, seamless gameplay loop that made early Star Citizen so instantly addictive. Getting to your ship should never be the challenge in a space game. If you've joined Star Citizen recently, you've definitely felt that unique frustration. Standing in elevators that never arrive, waiting for hangars that take forever to open. Ever catch yourself wondering why a space simulator spends so much time keeping you away from your spaceship? This debate rages constantly on Spectrum forums, convenience versus realism. But wait a second, maybe that original design actually created more immersion, precisely because it kept you engaged in continuous gameplay rather than staring at elevator doors? Maybe immersion doesn't come from simulating every mundane delay, but from maintaining the fantasy without interruption? Port Olisar represented perfect space station design, period. 4 symmetrical struts, 6 landing pads each. This layout naturally distributed traffic and created visible activity all around you. When someone landed their massive reclaimer, you noticed. When pilots launched in formation, you watched. These moments happened organically, creating a living universe no algorithm has managed to replicate since. Back during patch 3.0, bounty hunting worked differently. Target tracked to Olisar, you'd physically search the landing pads for their ship. Spot a Cutlass black on strut C? Wait nearby for the pilot to emerge. No elevator ambush is necessary. These encounters drew crowds. Other players gathered on pads to witness standoffs or join impromptu battles. Modern station designs simply don't allow these interactions. Current stations follow identical templates. Exterior pads exist for show, while hangars handle actual functionality. Sure, this prevented pad ramming and griefing, but threw away those unpredictable player interactions that made Star Citizen feel like a living universe rather than just another instanced game. Great security comes at the cost of those magical remember when stories that built this community. Star Citizen patch 2.6.3. You're meeting friends at Port Olisar's Strut B for an imaginary mining operation when someone realizes they forgot their helmet. Classic rookie move. Rather than scrapping the whole mission, you improvise brilliantly. Someone parks their Constellation airlock side while the rest form a human chain. 5 spacesuited players creating an EVA corridor from the station to the ship's cargo bay. Your helmetless friend makes a desperate vacuum dash, health bar rapidly dropping, barely making it aboard with just a sliver of life remaining. Everyone cheers over comms. That moment wasn't designed, wasn't scripted, emerged naturally from Port Olisar's open architecture and player creativity. These stories still circulate years later, not "remember that time the elevator worked perfectly?" The best gaming memories come from unexpected situations where game systems collide with player ingenuity. Port Olisar enabled those moments constantly. Port Olisar wasn't just about convenience. It represented an entire design philosophy that Star Citizen has gradually moved away from over the years. Study CIG's development trajectory and you'll notice the shift. Early designs emphasized player freedom and emergent interaction. Newer updates increasingly focus on controlled experiences and formalized systems. Neither approach is inherently wrong, but something valuable got lost in the transition. The best path forward doesn't mean simply recreating the past. It means synthesizing what worked then with what works now. Imagine new stations featuring both secure internal hangars for valuable cargo ships alongside external pads for fighters and medium vessels, fast access points for quick supply runs, paired with protected bays for longer operations. For new pilots, look for shortcuts in stations. Many still have exterior pads usable for quick departures, even if you can't spawn there. Veterans know the original Port Olisar assets still exist hidden away in Arena Commander for those desperate nostalgic moments. Small consolations, but better than nothing. This topic fractures the Star Citizen community like few others. Reddit threads about Port Olisar consistently reach thousands of upvotes. Comments like, "really miss the airlocks," and being able to walk out on the pads to look at space and Crusader and ships coming and going regularly become the most popular responses. CIG clearly recognizes the station's iconic status, preserving it as a hologram in Wicklow's shop and referencing it throughout official lore. Veterans still joke about Port Olisar syndrome, where experienced players reflexively complain about any elevator, no matter how efficiently it actually functions. What makes this fascinating? One location has transformed into a symbol representing deeper questions about Star Citizen's development philosophy: simulation versus game, realism versus fun. Port Olisar somehow managed to balance both, creating believable space operations without sacrificing player enjoyment. Want to recapture some of that original Port Olisar magic in current Star Citizen? Here's exactly how. First, master station layouts. Grimhex and the returning Levski offer the most Olisar-like experiences, with significantly shorter paths between services. Learn their layouts intimately. Second, utilize exterior ship storage whenever possible. Don't automatically store your ship during quick stops. This mimics that efficient Olisar workflow and saves precious minutes. Third, provide specific feedback about station design on the Persistent Universe section of Spectrum forums. Developers actually read those comments, especially when they contain constructive criticism rather than just nostalgia. Fourth, choose ships strategically based on spawn times. Smaller vessels not only spawn faster, but typically get assigned hangars closer to station entrances. An arrow gets you back into gameplay several minutes faster than a Carrack or 890 jump. Finally, transform elevator time into productive gameplay. Use those forced waits to manage inventory, plan quantum routes, or coordinate with teammates instead of just staring at doors. We've examined how Star Citizen's earliest space station continues influencing the game years after its removal, through community memory, design lessons, and what was lost in the transition to modern stations. Next time you play, pay close attention to station flow. Which locations feel natural to navigate? Which ones create frustration? Drop a comment sharing which current station comes closest to capturing that original Port Olisar magic. Share your own Port Olisar memories below, especially if you experienced those early days. For newer players, what aspects of the original design would you most want to see return? The community still influences development, and these conversations matter. And thanks for experiencing this journey through Star Citizen's evolution. Next week's deep dive explores quantum travel's transformation, from basic point-to-point jumps to the complex interdiction mechanics and quantum enforcement systems introduced in 4.0. Port Olisar taught us something crucial. In game development, sometimes what seems like simple convenience actually creates profound immersion. As Star Citizen continues growing, maybe the best path forward involves occasionally looking backward. After all, stability isn't just about frame rates and server performance, it's about preserving the foundations that made us fall in love with the verse in the first place.